What is up, everybody? Welcome into another episode of Talk to Me here on notfest.com. As always, I am Joshua Toomey, joined by the one, the only money-making Chris Akin. Chris, how we doing?
Awesome, man. How's it going over there?
It is going, man. We did it again. I think this is 2 weeks in a row where we've had the same band interviewed on both of our respective shows, man. And this week we both did Skid Row interviews.
We did, but not the same guys. At least we did different guys, because that would be awkward.
Yeah, right. Like when we both interview Wednesday 13. But
right.
But dude, I'll tell you, man, I'm excited to get this one out. I think we both interviewed our respective dudes like a couple of months ago. So yeah. I think this might be the longest I've ever sat on an interview. But wanted to release it release week. The Gang's All Here is out on Friday, and I think it's a true kind of return to form, man. I'm excited for everyone to get out and check out the new Skid Row album.
Yeah, I agree, man. It's in line with like Slave to the Grind. I mean, it's good. It's really, and it's weird because when it first came out, I was like not totally feeling it. I really kind of was like, I think I even said that to Rachel Bolan.
You did.
I just told him, I said, first time I heard it, I kind of wasn't in, but when you first hear it now, because of the 15 different singers that they've had in the band, you spend more time just trying to figure out if the singer's good or not,
right? Instead
of just listening to the tunes. But once you get past that with this, and this new record really doesn't give you a lot of time to wonder if it's good. Hell or High Water, right from the start, it's like bang. It's in your face, and it is classic Skid Row. I would give this, it's funny when I first, I think I told you when I first got it, I gave it a solid 6, maybe a 7.
Right.
I think I'm up to like an 8.5, maybe even a 9. Because I've played it nonstop.
Yeah, you told Rachel in your interview, you're like, it's a 7.5, 8.
Yeah, and it's just continuing to grow. By December, it'll be album of the year, I'm thinking. So
it's definitely up there. I think this year might be the first year that I probably could do like a top 5, top 10 album of the year. I might actually do that this year. Okay. Like typically, I feel like there's just been a ton of great music. I don't know if that's the pandemic where everybody, all they could do was music, and now we're finally getting all of it, or if, I'm just paying way more attention to music this year or something. But I think this year we could definitely do a solid, top 10 albums of the year kind of episode.
Easy, man. I could do a top 50 this year. There's just been a lot of great music just all over the boards. And, and the Skid Row would, I mean, for me, and I'm thinking for you too, the Skid Row would be near the top.
It's going to be up there, man. It's funny, growing up kind of being like the new metal kid, man, but like Skid Row was like one of the early bands that just kind of took over my listening, whatever, all the time in the cassette deck for the long time. And I still get those moments, 7, 8 years into the show, when certain people pop up on that screen and you're about to interview a man, seeing Dave Snake Sabo kind of pop up on the live stream, just, it still freaked me out.
Sure. Well, Skid Row, the thing for me, and, I'm a shade older than you, but Skid Row for me was that band that was between the two styles.
Yeah.
I was liking hair metal, but I was getting tired of it, kind of. I really wasn't feeling the Poison or the Warrant or that kind of stuff too much. Mm-hmm. But then you had Skid Row. And I didn't like the first Skid Row record. I still don't. The first, the one with big guns and stuff, 18 in Life, I Remember You. No, that's not my thing. Slave to the Grind was such an ass kicker. And it wasn't really hair metal-y anymore. I mean, Sebastian's voice was a little bit, and some of the ballads were. But I mean, the rest of it is meaty. And it really was kind of that. I personally grew into that record, and then right behind it comes Pantera, and then it's like, forget it. It's all over now.
You guys can just stop now.
Yep.
Same with Pantera, and you and I were talking a little bit before we started recording, but the whole in the interview where he talks about John Bon Jovi getting them the home video cameras, and then they put out the "Oh Say Can You Scream" and the Roadkill videos. And as much as I love the Pantera home videos, that Roadkill video, if you want to just watch a band having fun on tour, like Sebastian going into the Burger King and grabbing the microphone and singing to everybody in the back and stuff like. I mean, it's just they were definitely a fun band to be a fan of.
Sure. Oh yeah, dude, those guys are, they've always been fun. I've had a chance or two to hang out with both the Skid Row guys and Sebastian, and even Sebastian is fun. I mean, he's definitely he's 1,000% screwy, but he's definitely fun. Right. He's one of, I don't know if I've told this on this show. I know I've told it on CMS, but one of my most favorite times ever was I was hanging out with the Pantera guys they played a show at Rhodes Arena in Akron, Ohio.
Nice. And
it was Pantera, Anthrax, and Sebastian Bach.
Okay.
And I ended up getting a call from Philip, and he's like, "Are you going to come down to the show?" And I was like, "Yeah, of course." And he's like, "Come and meet us at the buses at 3:00. Like, okay. Right. So we go down and we meet at the buses, me and my buddy, and then immediately they're like, "No, we're going in the building." So we go in the building, and it is just alcohol fest. It is just all those guys, or several guys from Anthrax, Phil, Dime, Vinny. I don't know if Rex was there or not, and who cares? But Sebastian's in there, a bunch of roadies, and Dimebag is just handing out drinks and will not let you have an empty cup. Right. Anytime he saw you had an empty cup, he's like, "Nope, not gonna have that back here." Throwing us drinks. We get hammered. I mean, hammered. Show starts at 7:30. We get ushered the hell out. We go out in the front to watch the show. Sebastian Bach hammered, not hitting any notes, sloppy as shit set, terrible. Next band up, Anthrax, sloppy as shit set. John Bush hammered, just terrible. Pantera comes out. Note perfect,
right?
Doesn't affect them any. So fast forward a couple of months, and there's a review in one of the magazines, Hit Parader or whatever, of this show, and it's like, this was the worst show for all these bands. They were all partying too much, and they're all drunk. And me and my buddy were like, this is a badge of honor, man, because we were there and we got drunk with these guys. It was so fucking fun, dude. Just good times, man.
Yeah, the one time I was like really partying with the Pantera guys, it was I had jumped on the Ozfest. It was actually the Ozfest that Primary 55 was on. Okay. That's kind of where I kind of first met those guys. I'd met them at a show, and then they were also on the tour, and I saw them at like catering a couple of times. But they had this thing up. It was they had all these like throw a dart, bust a balloon, get some promo CDs type carnival stuff.
Okay.
And one of the carnival things said, help wanted, see this person. So I was like, what is that? What is that? And they're like, oh, you get $75 a day and your meals paid for and travel. And I was like, well, fucking sign me up.
Nice.
I was, I think 19 or 20, just no responsibilities at all.
Sure.
And I went back to my friends and I'm like, hey, I'm leaving with the Ozfest. And so that was the year it was, Pantera was on it, and Soulfly and Kitty and Primer. Okay. And, that was at 2000. And so we get to Dallas, and the rumor around everything was like, hey, there's a, party tonight at the clubhouse, which is, obviously Vinny's strip club. So I get myself to the the after party. Sure. And I go in and everybody's there. I'm like, David Drainman from Disturbed is there. And I'm like, my band also did a cover of Shout, and, all this stuff. And we were all hanging out, and Dimebag comes out with like a tray of shots. He's handing shots out to everybody. Next thing you know, him and Vinny and whatever, they're up on stage playing Van Halen covers. And I mean, they were definitely making the party go that night. Mm-hmm. It was an amazing thing to just kind of be a fly on the wall, because it was all the bands and then me. It was like I had no reason to be there, but I always kind of end up in those situations.
Yeah, those are good times, man. Those are the times that everybody else that's a fan that just, their greatest concert memory ever is, man, that one time, man, and Dimebag threw me a pick,
Right.
and it was the best ever. And we're like, yeah. When I hung out with them, when I hung out with them,
yeah.
Dude, so grateful for those moments, man.
Yeah, I looked at the dates one time, and the first time I met Dimebag was like August of '94, like August 8th or something like that.
Right.
And then the last time I talked to him was August of 2004. It was almost 10 years to the exact date from the first time I met him to the last time I talked to him before he was taken from us. Hey, look at the shirt. Wear the Dimebag shirt today. Talking Pantera.
There we go. Is there ever a time we're not talking Pantera at least a little bit?
There's Pantera on the docket today and everything else. So,
when was the last time that you went 1 week without listening to a single note of Pantera? Has that happened since they've been a band?
I feel like probably. I don't listen to as much music as probably you do. I listen to a lot more podcasts, but I do have Far Beyond Driven in the Jeep on CD. So it's like whenever I hit the CD player, that's all I ever listen to. So
sure.
So there's it's either all way too much Pantera or like none at all.
Yeah. See, I don't think I've gone. I know in the last 10 years I have not gone one single week, because like even all my little playlists that I have set up on YouTube Music or Spotify or whatever.
Yeah.
Every one of them has
the algorithm
8 Pantera songs in it. And even if I don't have a Pantera song in it, the algorithm knows that's pretty much my home court. So it feeds me, something. Yesterday don't mean shit or something every so often.
It's funny, man. I know we can do setup different. I mean, I have a family plan with me and my son and my wife for Spotify. And I know that we can set up different profiles and all this other nonsense, but a lot of times I'll just hand him my phone and say, hey, play something real quick on the way to school or something. So my Spotify algorithm is just like, what does this guy listen to? Like there's no understanding, because I'll get new release radar of Young Blood and the new little this, that, and the other thing. I'm like, why am I getting, here's the new Lamb of God and also an unreleased track from, Skeet. So,
but that makes it fun, doesn't it? When there's nothing better for me. There's nothing better than when I'm listening to whatever, and it'll be like this big, heavy, be Cannibal Corpse and Goat Whore and Pantera and Gordon Lightfoot sneaks in there somehow. It's like, what the hell happened?
I really never listened to like over the air terrestrial radio, and there's a couple of times, like if my youngest son will be watching YouTube on my phone or something, so I gotta that's where the Pantera CD comes into play.
Sure.
And then sometimes I listen to the local radio here, and I can't stand the local talk radio here because it's all the University of Louisville or the University of Kentucky hate on each other. That's all they do. Right. They don't ever talk nice about their own team. They always just talk bad about the other team. And there's 3 local sports talk stations here, and they're all they all have they just hate on each other all day long. So I never listen to the sports talk, but there's a couple of classic rock radio stations I have programmed in the thing. And I guess one of them changed from classic rock to yacht rock.
Okay.
And light listening or whatever it's called.
Sure.
I had it on. I was like, this is a jam right here. I kind of left it on that station for a while, and it's 102.3 The Rose.
Like, right. And then you're like, what am I doing listening to Pina Colada?
Yeah, it's definitely, I don't know what they do around here, man. It's a mess.
Nice.
The other interview out this week is my interview from Louder Than Life with your good friends in Plush.
Yes.
That was a lot of fun sitting down with the ladies in Plush.
What do you think? Can they make it or not?
I think they've got, big things ahead of them. I think that they are on a good path to make it. I don't know really what making it is. I mean, can they be as big as a hailstorm or something like that? You kind of got to lump them in, I guess, in that group. But they definitely, write catchy tunes, and Mariah's got a great voice, and I still think it'll end up being Mariah solo sooner or later.
Yeah,
I don't really understand hate the name Plush,
Yeah.
you know, and I kind of hate like bands that are kind of just put together, and they're definitely a put together band. You know, that I don't think they were much of a, you know.
No, Mariah told me flat out she found all the girls on the internet.
Yeah.
It was social media built.
That's crazy. I mean, that's the time, but I mean, I think for her to make it, I think she'll end up being a solo band.
Yeah, probably true. You know, the weird thing for her is she's got a voice that would fit better outside of what she enjoys.
Right.
She enjoys metal, but she really can't do metal. That's just not her.
Right.
That's not her voice. Her voice is definitely rock oriented. You know, so look, I hope that they do well. I think the album's great. I think they're better than, I don't know, like The Warning, you know, who I guess would be their competition.
Right.
You know, I think they're better than them. I think they're better than In This Moment.
Yeah, In This Moment's got the theatrics behind it, though. They kind of add to the show and all that stuff. So
yeah, they're the true Marilyn Manson.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at the notes from the interview. I mean, it's just talking about what a crazy whirlwind that Mariah's been on for the last 2 years. You know,
oh yeah,
popping up on Facebook doing covers of Steelheart songs, and you know, being interviewed by you guys on the Classic Metal Show, and then like one thing after another. It's like all of a sudden they're, you know, right now they're out with Alice in Chains. I mean, it's an insane time to be to kind of watch those kind of bands grow.
Dude, for you, and I'm not saying this as a jealous thing. I'm just saying you've got to scratch your head when you see this band that hasn't really paid any dues in clubs. I mean, to my knowledge, they've played one headlining show in a club. One. They played like their record release party. Everything else has been with Hailstorm, with Evanescence, with Slash, with Daughtry, with Wolfie Van Halen. Who else did they tour with? Seven Dust.
Yeah.
And now Alice in Chains. That's their first year.
Well, I think they're more of a if I was still trying to be in a band and still trying to make it as a musician, yes, I would be 100% a hater. Mm-hmm. I would be like, you know, somebody is funding this. There's too much money behind it. There's somebody's putting a lot of money into those ladies. Yeah. And you know, I think that they're probably getting some of these offers because of, you know, who they are, but they're also probably, you know, buying onto a lot of these shows. And it's funny, there's a guy that I'm friends with on Facebook that we're both Titans fans, but he's also like in an up and coming band or whatnot, or he's in a band that he's been trying for the last few years, that decent band. I'll spare him the, you know, since this talk, but anytime something big comes through town, he just kind of shits on it. Right. Even Louder Than Life, where he was just like, you know, Louder Than Life they're not even local promoters, and all these bands are coming in just to take your money when there's great bands playing the dive bar right down the street.
Sure.
And all this other stuff. And I'm like, dude, there's a local band stage this year. Like, instead of hating on it, just like try to get in with it. You know, I'm like, you know, don't hate. Congratulate.
Yeah. Well, I mean, look, if you think that the promoters don't see the hate, you're wrong. They definitely do.
Oh yeah.
And they definitely keep track of who's a hater and who's not, so that they don't waste their dollars on somebody that's been shitting on their venue or their you know, their event.
Right.
So, you know, and you know, to your point about buying onto stuff, I don't know that that's 1,000% true with Plush.
Yeah.
I think they have to have bought onto some of it, but I know I mean I know for a fact that Ashley, the bass player who you interviewed, she has some tie to Alice in Chains.
Right.
Like her dad is the brother of Mike Inez or something. I don't remember how it all works, but he's tied to Alice in Chains. So that's probably how they got that association.
Yeah, but how many bands out there have ties to Alice in Chains? It's like,
well, but that happens. I mean, if it's so-and-so's dad, and you know, I know that that with Seven Dust, the Seven Dust guys knew Brooke, the drummer that they replaced. So John Connolly told me that. He said that they knew Brooks, so they welcomed him to the tour. So it's like, I don't think they bought on to at least those two.
Yeah.
Now Slash, I would think, is a total. There's no other way to get on that except to buy onto that, I would think.
But I mean, going back to your point about social media, they all have social media presences, sure. and they have the band presence on social media, and maybe those numbers were big enough to where if you're going to give an up and coming band a opening slot. Yeah. You might as well give it to a band like Plush because, they've got the numbers to back it up, and they're going to be like, hey, we're out on tour with Seven Dust. Come see us. And they're actually going to be worth some tickets in a lot of these venues, sure. rather than just the opening band that's getting $50 and a one t-shirt design at the t-shirt booth.
Right. No, you're probably right about that too. And I mean, Plush certainly does have the numbers. I mean, if you go and look at Mariah and the old drummer Brooke, if you look at their YouTube numbers, you're talking hundreds of millions of plays.
Yeah.
So that I would imagine those numbers are impressive as, for if you're going to take out a band, who are you going to take out? Somebody that 100 million people are looking at, or somebody that has 300 downloads on their new single?
Yeah. That's crazy how much that stuff makes the world go round. It's funny because I've noticed in a few of your interviews lately, you're like, go buy the record, don't stream it, you cheap asses. And I'm like, go stream it so people can see that people are listening to it.
Yeah. But it's the weird thing. I mean, this, dude. The bands want you to the bands want people to buy the records. They don't want people to stream. And I usually, not all the time, I usually say, go ahead and stream it too, but buy it.
Right.
I try to make that distinction, and I'm the worst. I should probably just shut my fucking mouth because Lord knows I have the least physical product of anybody. Yeah. I don't even have a CD player. I think anywhere in my house. So I have no use for a CD.
Yeah. I don't think I have. I don't have a CD player in the house.
Yeah. I don't. Do you have one in the car?
And the Jeep has one. My wife's car does not, but my Jeep does. My Jeep's older.
I can honestly tell you, I don't know if I do. I have no idea. I've never used it. If I do, I've never used it once. Right. I've had my car like 8 years. Yeah,
your car's probably old enough to where it had one, but
and it probably still does. But anyway,
well, there we go. Let's dive into some news.
All right.
I got a bunch pulled up here. Trying to, we do tend to talk about the same 4 or 5 bands each week, so I'm gonna mix it up a little bit. But one thing you brought up, and as soon as I saw this, I was like, hell yes, was Biohazard's classic lineup to reunite for European festival appearances in 2023.
All right, that's got to be a misprint. It must say before coming to the United States, specifically Ohio, so that I can see them.
Right.
Oh, that's going to be great.
The classic lineup of Biohazard, which is Billy Graziadei, Bobby Hamill, Danny Schuler, and Evan Seinfeld on lead vocals and bass, will reunite for an appearance at next year's Bloodstock Open Air Festival at Catton Park. I don't know, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, the United Kingdom. Biohazard will headline Sunday night, August 13th, 2023 on the Sophie Lancaster stage. Biohazard will also perform at Dynamo, set to take place in the Netherlands on August 19th and 20th. So this past March, Graziadei, I almost interviewed Billy like 5 years ago, and I practiced that last name like 1,000 times. The interview actually fell through, but I interviewed him a couple of years later. So when I had him on the show, I was like, Billy Graziadei.
And he said, nah, just call me Billy Bio.
Yeah, I'm just Billy Bio. I was like, no, I've been practicing.
Right.
But yeah, he said in an interview, there's been talk about putting Biohazard back together. And the group, which acknowledged one of its earliest outfits to fuse hardcore punk heavy metal with elements of hip hop, has been out of the public eye since Scott Roberts left the band more than 6 years ago. And then, basically just goes on to talk more about that. But and then, obviously, Billy's been doing his Billy Bio stuff and doing the, what was his other band with, the side project?
Car guy? The car, was that with the car guy?
Power Flow.
Power Flow, yeah.
With Sendog and guys from Downset and Christian Old Wolvers.
Yeah, let's just be honest. No one gives a shit. It's Biohazard or nothing. Billy Bio was not that good. Just being straight up. It was okay, but it wasn't Biohazard. And we all wanted Biohazard. It's just that simple. Biohazard is one of my all-time favorite bands. One of my number 2 show, if you know how you rank your shows best to worst. My number 2 show of all time is Pantera, 94, 95, whatever year that would have been. It was Far Beyond Driven.
Yeah.
It was 94-ish. It was Pantera with openers were Sepultura and Biohazard.
Nice.
Oh my God. The beating I took in the mosh pit was ungodly. I was completely black and blue, but totally worth it.
So the Bloodstock open air, the bands that have been announced, I would almost get on a plane right now for this show. Killswitch Engage, Megadeth, In Flames, Anthrax, Devil Driver, Sepultura, Ugly Kid Joe, Knocked Loose, Fit for an Autopsy, Decapitated, Gatecreeper, Whitechapel, Reunited, Biohazard, King, Nonpoint, and a couple of others, man. But man, what a lineup!
Oh, Jesus. That's pretty solid there.
Yeah. And I think this is a smaller festival. I don't think I don't think you can get like 100,000 people in here. I think it's a smaller fest.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think it's that small. Bloodstock, I've heard of it anyway. So. Yeah. Dude, what a line. I'm just looking at this line. That's the first time I've seen the lineup. My God. What a day that is with Megadeth, Killswitch, Anthrax, In Flames, Devil Driver, and Sepultura. And Ugly Kid Joe, who we never see.
Right.
So, wow. Plus all these other bands are good too. Fit for an Autopsy is great. Decapited's great.
Yeah,
Knocked Loose is really good. Wow. Is this a separate day, the day with Whitechapel and Biohazard and Nonpoint?
Well, it says it's 4 days, 4 stages. So
okay,
I'm assuming they're just about to release, these are some of the bigger names.
Okay. And it's a different stage.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, so some of these bands will play. So you might get Anthrax, Megadeth, In Flames, Anthrax, Whitechapel, and Biohazard. Wow.
Yeah. But, my love of Biohazard, man, that's one band that even like in the height of all my friends listening to Korn and Limp Bizkit and Deftones and all that stuff, I was like, I wish they would have gotten more into Biohazard. Like for some reason, like Biohazard just never clicked with a lot of my like, the new metal guys that I hung around with, man. But I State of the World Address and Urban Discipline and all that stuff, man. What was such great records.
Dude, those two. And for me, Madaleo was a good one too.
Yeah.
I loved them. I absolutely loved them. Still love them. Please God, let this be like the start of a reunion. I mean, even in the last couple of years, I've interviewed like the Pieces parts. I interviewed Billy Bio about a year ago. Yeah. And interviewed Scott Roberts not that long ago.
Well, actually, in this Blabbermouth article, it says, in an August 2020 interview with the Aftershocks podcast.
Oh, that's me. I did not see this.
Roberts said he left Biohazard because he wasn't happy anymore. There was one guy that I wasn't getting along with very well, and it made touring not fun anymore for me. So.
Well, if it came from the Aftershocks podcast, then it's legit.
Yeah, I've been skimming through this article like 15 times. I just now saw that.
No, I was unaware. I'll have to thank our good friend Bori as soon as this interview is over, or this podcast is over.
Yeah, this is an interview. It's funny, but like when my stuff pops up, like anytime Katie is talked about on Blabbermouth, always goes back to an interview I did with Morgan at some point.
Sure.
I don't think there's been a Kitty article written on Blabbermouth that hasn't referred back to some appearance she's made on the show.
Well, why would it? You're the one. You're carrying the torch for the Kitty.
Kitty. Here we go. Let's see here. another classic lineup. Reunited band. Well, that's not a good segue. Rob Halford says Pantera reunion will be amazing. I'm going to be banging my head like a maniac.
Gee, wow. In other news, water still wet.
Halford discussed his views on the Pantera comeback in an interview with Cutter's Rockcast. You a big fan of Cutter's Rockcast?
I get every episode.
That is. Is this Pantera thing going to be amazing or what? We're going to be doing the first show together. Rob went on to say that Wild and Benante are the right people to step in for Dimebag and Vinny. If you know about the way Charlie feels about Pantera, you know the way Zach feels, the skill that they both have to do the songs justice, he said. And man, this is important. It's important. And Phil's voice is the voice of Pantera. What Rex does is as important with a question mark. So that's not what, so what's not to love about this really special moment that we're all going to go nuts.
Okay. Well, thanks, Rob. Thanks for, I was thinking I wasn't going to go to the shows, but now that Rob Halford told me it's going to be good.
Well, I'm kind of curious to see if, judging by the lineup, it looks like Pantera will be going on before Judas Priest. So if Rob Halford is out there banging his head like a maniac all the way through Pantera, will that affect the Judas Priest show that night?
Yeah, well, he'll just move a little slower than he normally does.
Maybe he'll still have a big giant coat.
Dude, apparently you were out at Louder Than Life with these guys from Rockcast, Cutter's Rockcast.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, they have a bunch of interviews posted from Louder Than Life, like 15 of them.
Well, hell,
I'm looking them up right now, and they got Dave Mustaine. Who is this podcast? They got Dave Mustaine. They got Corey Taylor.
What the hell's going on?
How are they getting all these fucking bands?
See if I don't recognize the guy. And there weren't a ton of media guys back there this year.
Well, there's 15 interviews listed. There's Apocalyptica, Plush, Will something. What is this one? Will from Scrape, Will Hunt.
Oh, nice. Rockcast Basement. Let's see here. Yeah, I don't know. As we were like both watching, this is making for great podcasting.
Yeah, whatever.
The guy doesn't look familiar, so let's see. Maybe he's got Dave. Wow,
he's got like big name stuff.
Maybe we should quit. Here's Jared. I think he pretty much interviews everybody I interview, and then everybody that I can't get, like Corey Taylor.
Exactly. So I'm like, damn, this guy's got a hookup somehow.
Maybe we should be friends with this guy.
Yeah. Might want to invite him over here.
And let's welcome to the show.
Yeah. Here's a new window opening up. It's Cutter from the Rockcast.
Bloop. Well, nice. All right. So it says here on over on loudwire.com that Rob Halford of Judas Priest fame is in touch with KK Downing over the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. And it just makes me wonder if KK is actually going to get up with it, man. What do you think?
I definitely think he's going to get up with them, dude. They have to. If they have him there and they have Richie Faulkner playing You Got Another Thing Coming, that's going to suck. Especially, KK will be, this is the other piece of it too. If they do him that way, KK will murder them in the press.
Yeah.
Because KK is not one to shut his mouth. So they're going to bring him up, don't you think?
Oh yeah, that's one thing. Like everybody knows my love of Judas Priest, but like I am a huge KK fan. Loved the interview I did with him. That might have been the most prep I've ever done for an interview because of past comments I've made about Judas Priest. Sure. So like I read the book and I listened to all the stuff, and it was a really, really cool interview. And KK, the charm that guy had, man, like in the books. he talks about like just how many women he banged over the years.
Right.
And I could just see him just cleaning up with the ladies in the 80s.
Charming the pants off them as the slang goes.
Yeah, charm the pants off of all of our moms. You know?
Yeah, of course.
But I mean, I hope just for my fandom of KK, and I know, and like that's the one thing I know about KK too, is just he loves Judas Priest. Like he wants to be back in the band no matter what. You know, all this like these letters that he, hateful letters that he wrote and stuff. Maybe he's a little too emotional. Maybe he should have kept letters to himself and things like that. But he wants to be up there. Hopefully they want him up there. Hopefully they do, like you said, do some classics with him up there. And I think he'll kill it if he gets the opportunity.
Sure. I think they will too, because, unlike a lot of these guys where it is a big ego stroke type thing.
Yeah.
Priest has always said out loud and said behind the cameras, and they've always said that they're about the fans, and they know in that moment, in that specific moment, it will only be about the fans. They know that they're getting in on a side deal from the fucking Rock Hall, which that's a whole shitty thing all by itself. Right. But if they're given any opportunity to do any sort of performance, they're going to do it together. They're going to give the fans their just due. They're not gonna let their petty arguments hold them up. Now, I don't think that means that they're going to bring KK back into the band.
Yeah,
that I don't think you're ever going to see. I think that there's way too much damage with the KK's Priest and all that goofy shit that KK's done since he left Priest. But I think to give a one moment for 10 minutes or whatever that makes the fans universally happy, I think they'll do that without even a much contest.
Yeah, I think the hang on. That's what I get for drinking caffeine. So the induction, is the induction still in Cleveland, or did they move that to New York years ago?
Well, now you're going to get me starting to talk shit on the fucking Rock Hall again, aren't you? The way they do it is, I think it's once every 4 years, it's in Cleveland. And then the other 3 are in New York.
Okay.
So I don't know if we're on an even or an odd year, because I would just assume blow that building up, then actually pay attention to what's going in and out of it. But if it is a even year, then it would be here. But I don't think it is. I think last year was here, actually. So,
well, that was the question, was if this is in Cleveland and KK's getting up with Judas Priest, is that something that would tempt you to go? No,
I'll never go to the Rock Hall.
Not even Pantera was this.
If Pantera was inducted and they wanted me to do the inducting, I wouldn't go. No.
All right.
No, absolutely not. It's an embarrassment, because I'd still be inducting. Would I go because it's Judas Priest? I love Judas Priest. I'd still be standing in a building that has Chic and Madonna in it. Nope, not happening.
But they're going, like, Judas Priest is going in with Pat Benatar, Eminem, Dolly Parton, Duran Duran, and a few others, is what it says here. So, I mean, those are all your favorites.
No, they're not. They're really not. Not for the Rock Hall. When you show me that Dolly Parton rock song, let alone album, then we can maybe talk. When you show me that Eminem rock tune, then we can talk. It's not a Rock Hall. It's a music hall. And you know what? No, it doesn't fit. It's still a piece of shit place.
Hey, and Jolene's a ripper. That's all I got to say. Let's try this one, man. Speaking of kind of rock halls and halls of fame, NoFX's Fat Mike is opening the world's first punk museum.
Wow, where?
I believe this is going to be in Las Vegas. Let's see here. Thanks to NoFX's Fat Mike, one will exist soon. The frontman is planning on opening the very first punk museum in Las Vegas, Nevada, and literally called the Punk Rock Museum. As reported by Spin, The 12,000 square foot museum is set to open on January 13th, 2023, and will contain a wide array of punk-related relics from artists such as Debbie Harry, Devo, Rise Against, Sum 41, and more. They probably could have left Sum 41 out of that.
Yeah.
There will also be exhibits that fans can engage with guitars and basses and things like that. If you're a punk band, you're fucking in. Fat Mike explained of the criteria to be accepted in the museum. It's that simple.
All right, so we should look for Madonna's induction when. No, that sounds cool. I mean, that sounds okay. I mean, like you said, I don't know about Sum 41. I'm sure Green Day will have their own wing,
right?
Which shouldn't be because they're barely a punk band. I'd rather see more, I don't know, Pennywise and bands like that. But hey, good. Look, I don't know if are you a punk fan at all or not really?
Oh yeah, I love NoFX and all of their output. Yeah, I'm a big punk fan. So
okay.
Would you are you
big enough fan to go?
Yeah, if it's like I'm going to Las Vegas for something, and while I'm there, I would go. I wouldn't go to Vegas just for this, but this is definitely, if you're in Vegas for 4 days, one day we're gonna head over to the Punk Museum. And check out all the things that they have.
Yeah, I would probably go. I hope it doesn't get polluted somehow. Seeing that it's being featured in Spin magazine really is kind of, that's kind of a grit your teether to hear that. It's one step away from Rolling Stone saying, yeah, here's all our favorites from punk. It's Elvis Costello,
top guitarist of all time.
Yeah.
Woody Guthrie.
Yeah, exactly.
Looks like Pat Smear of the Foo Fighters Warped Tour founder Kevin Lyman and Tony Hawk are among the investors who helped make this a reality.
Okay. See, it's all good at the beginning. The Rock Hall was a good idea at the beginning when it was a Rock Hall. It's when does the business step into it? And then they start saying, well, we can do the Ghost of Stiv Bators, or we could do Green Day.
Yeah.
That'll sell us a shit ton of merchandise and tickets and pay-per-view. Which will we do?
Yeah, one day this will be the Punk Rock Museum presented by Pepsi.
Yeah, exactly. So true.
Something else that's happening in Vegas, the When We Were Young Fest for this year. I'm big into the punk and the emo scene that they put out on the flyer for this year. Kind of jealous of the people that I've seen that are covering this year's version of When We Were Young Fest. Next year's When We Were Young Fest has been announced already too, and I have to say, like, if this year was an oh my god moment, next year is a hard pass moment.
Oh wow.
Next year's When We Were Young Fest has been announced as Green Day, the fully reunited Blink-182, Good Charlotte, Rise Against, Yellow Card, Sum 41, Simple Plan, Newfound Glory, among others. And this year's flyer from top to bottom was like, I want to see that band, I want to see that band, I want to see that band. Next year's flyer is like, I don't know, man. I saw that obviously Tom DeLonge has come back to Blink-182. And, they're kind of doing the whole reunion, world tour, new album, all that stuff, which is also crazy that they were able to book an entire world tour and record a new album. And it all kind of came out on the same day. Like, I haven't even heard rumblings of this happening. So I'm pretty crazy that they were able to kind of keep all this under wraps.
Well, all I know is from the list that you just listed there, you are literally an Offspring announcement away from a Vans Warped Tour.
Oh, they're on there. They're on there too.
Are they the Offsprings on this?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah. The side bands are like 30 Seconds to Mars, The Offspring, Thrice, Gym Class Heroes, Say Anything, Bowling for Soup, Less Than Jake. I mean, it's just.
This sounds like the corporatized Vans at the end of the Vans run.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a couple of decent bands on this next year one, but like this year's lineup is insane. Next year's lineup is crap. Insane to go to it.
Yeah, it's garbage. No, thank you.
Let's dive into this John 5 news. It was kind of popping up last week that the John 5 sat out the Rob Zombie performance at Aftershock, and Mike Riggs, who you recently interviewed, stepped back into his old guitar spots, which I think is pretty awesome. And I was, as much as I love John 5, and I'll interview him for anything that he does, and I'll go see any, solo show that he does. When he was, I guess his last Rob Zombie set was at Louder Than Life here. And I think I checked out 1 or 2 songs, and I think we watched, who did we watch instead? We watched somebody instead of Rob Zombie, but so I'm kind of curious to see if the set was more, old White Zombie and the first couple of Rob Zombie records with Riggs stepping back in, because I enjoyed Riggs being in the band.
Sure. Oh, maybe that's where Riggs was driving to while he was doing my interview, was out to Aftershock.
Yeah, right.
But yeah, I mean, that was you want to talk about keeping something under wraps. How did they keep that quiet?
I don't know. I don't even know how. I mean, literally, Louder Than Life and Aftershock was what, a week or 2 apart. So I mean, something must have happened at Louder Than Life. I mean, it had to have been a quick turnaround, because unless John was like, John 5 was like, hey, I'm going to do these last couple of shows, and Riggs was getting ready prior to John playing the last show or something. But it didn't seem like that when I talked to Riggs, though, did it? No,
he didn't seem very, very interested in talking about Rob Zombie at all. He was just kind of
maybe he was nervous he was going to slip up and say something.
Maybe it could very well be. That is true, but. Yeah, hey, you know what? My hunch is that it's kind of a Nita Strauss type of a deal, same sort of a situation where John 5 already had the other gig lined up, and he just had to clear the decks so that he could go and join Mötley Crüe, I guess.
So yeah, talking about the other gig that's kind of out there, that he's supposedly gonna replace Mick Mars in Mötley Crüe. Which, I mean, he has all the ties to Mötley Crüe. Like he's done a lot of stuff with Nikki Sixx, and always talking about stuff with Tommy Lee. And I don't know his relationship with Vince Neil, but I mean, I know obviously the main dudes in Mötley Crüe, he is very friendly with.
Sure.
And you had kind of said on the Classic Metal show that you're hearing rumblings that John 5 might already be playing like off stage with Mötley Crüe.
Well, that was what I was told by somebody that's close to that camp, not in that camp, but close to that camp, that it was not a coincidence that what's the name? Tommy Clufetos was out there, and that at multiple shows, so was John 5, and that John 5 may very well have been the behind the curtain guy playing a little bit of guitar, because Mick Mars, and I mean, you've seen Mick Mars, dude. He looks like the weather could have knocked him down in half those shows. That's the part that you saw, the one show where it was raining real bad. Did you see that, where it's raining real bad and Def Leppard was out there in the rain?
Yeah.
Would you trot Mick Mars out there on a wet stage? I wouldn't. I'd be afraid he would die.
Yeah, just tether him to the mic stands and whatnot.
Tether him like they're doing Ozzy right now. Just hook him to something and have somebody behind the stage playing.
My thing with that is I think that if John 5 was playing off stage, I think he would be playing on stage. Like I think it would be more of a, I don't think it would take away from Mötley Crüe in the stadium if they said, hey, let's bring out our friend John 5 for a few songs. I think that would be, that's the only thing that makes me think that he's not playing off stage. Maybe he was there just in case to play the show, like Clufetos was. He was already there just in case something happened, where, we've been talking to the Lamb of God guys about, having kind of backup guys ready to go, which I think, growing up, I don't think this was ever a thing.
Right.
Like, hey, Toomey, Seven Dust is going on tour. They need you to be the backup bass player just in case, I don't know if there was backup bass players and guitar players over the years, but now this seems to be a very common thing. So maybe John 5 was the backup to Mick, but I just don't think I don't think that they would have kept him off stage. I think it's a big enough deal if they would have brought him out and said, hey, it's John 5.
I don't think so. I think you're wrong on that. And I'll tell you why, because the whole premise of the tour was this was the reunion of Mötley Crüe.
True.
So, if they could trot his near corpse out there, they're going to do it.
Right.
And it's not the first time. I mean, he's not, by no means would he be the first guy to play off stage. I've heard quite a few rumors about Whitfield Crane being Ozzy.
Right.
I've heard that rumor numerous times from people that are in the know. My friend Billy Morris has told me that he sang off stage for his old band Warrant. When he wasn't in Warrant, and Janie would be a little cocked, had a drink or two, and Billy would be out on the stage or off the stage, and they would have Janie do this number. Just holding the microphone close to his face, and then Billy would sing the songs. So, it happens. It happens more than we want to admit. I think Eddie Trunk would approve, but everybody else would probably not approve. But
well, do you think that Eddie Trunk would he be better for him to have the the guitar player off the stage playing, or should they play the tracks?
Oh, they would, for Eddie Trunk, they need to be off the stage. Well, Eddie will just argue that it's all bullshit.
Right.
If it ain't the real guys, then it isn't really happening. If you can't play your instrument, then you shouldn't be there. But whatever, Eddie's a fool. So, I mean, again, it goes to what we said before. If it makes the show better, who really cares?
Yeah, I agree. Let's do one more. We've been kind of on this Dave Mustaine thing lately.
Yeah.
Dave Mustaine once again says Dave Ellefson is not a founding member of Megadeth. I was the founder.
Oh shit.
It's funny because they kind of came back to back with some headlines, and Ellefson was congratulating Metallica and Megadeth and Dave Mustaine for Metallica crediting Dave for those early Metallica records. Yeah. And Dave Ellefson really is coming out on the positive side on a lot of this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Like Dave's just bitter and bitter and bitter. Like when it comes to
Ellefson's not a dick.
Yeah.
Let's just call it the way it is. Mustaine is a dick, period.
Yeah.
And Ellefson is, I don't give a shit what he did jerking off on the camera. He's a pretty cool guy. I mean, him. I know him.
Yeah, great dude.
He's a great dude. And he's not that guy. He doesn't want to be out there. The last thing he wants is what's going on right now. I can guarantee you that. And that's why he's not shitting on any of this. I mean, I could tell you for a fact, in conversations that I've had with him, I've heard a lot harsher stuff than he's ever said publicly.
Yeah.
And it's because he's not that guy. He doesn't, if he had his druthers, this is my guess, but I think you'll probably agree with this. If he had it his way, Mustaine would not answer any questions about Ellefson right now. He would just say, we've moved on and that's it. And there's nothing else to say here other than we've moved on in a different direction.
Right.
That's what Ellefson wishes was going on. Mustaine is just, he's just clubbing a dead seal. That's really what he's doing. He's just hitting it and hitting it and hitting it because it's cheap pop for him. And I don't know. I wish he would shut the fuck up because I love the record. And I mean, honestly, forget personal feelings to it. He put out a great record and no one's talking about it because they're talking about this damn controversy that he keeps stirring up.
Right. Yeah, it looks like the quote is, there's a misnomer that there were two people that founded Megadeth. I was the founder.
Okay.
I was the only one in the beginning. There was a bass player before who just was ... who just left. So it's been my vision. When I got kicked out of Metallica, I got kicked out of Metallica. No one else was with me on the bus coming home.
Really? Do you feel better now that you said that, Dave? Do you think that makes more people go, God damn it, Dave's the man?
Love that guy.
He's the man, the way he started it by himself. What a warrior. Shut up.
It's so funny that there was like at the beginning of this kind of interview cycle, it was very like, the bass player's not with us anymore. And it was very tame. But as the interviews go, man, it's just like, I'm the founder. I wrote all the bass lines. I actually played all the bass on all the albums. Dave Ellefson actually is not even a real human being. It was a cardboard cutout.
That's
the
about
entire
where
time.
we're going to, isn't it?
Technically, Dave Ellefson was just a puppet. That was he's a robot. Just
it was a Milli Vanilli scenario,
right? So yeah. So that's more from our good friend Dave Mustaine.
Your good friend. I don't even want to pretend to claim that.
All right, man. You got any reviews or recommendations for the week?
Recommendations. I listened to you. I don't remember if it was on the show or off the show, but I went back based on something you had told me or said. Again, I don't remember. And I checked out the Drowning Pool, Strike a Nerve. And that is really, really good.
Yeah, it's an excellent record.
That is an excellent, excellent record. I definitely like that. And then as far as TV stuff goes, I've been doing the October trendy bullshitty thing and watching a bunch of horror movies. On the yes side, on the good side, thumbs up. My Best Friend's Exorcism out on Amazon Prime.
Okay.
Pretty fun, pretty momenty,
All right.
On the I wish I could gouge my eyes out because I wasted time watching this would be the brand new Hellraiser, or Woke Raiser as I'm calling it, on Hulu, I believe it's on. It is garbage. Absolutely terrible garbage. Do not waste 1 second of time on the new Hellraiser.
Yeah, I saw that our good friend from Chimera, Mark Hunter, was talking about the Hellraiser on the Twitter. He's not a fan.
Oh, he didn't like it either.
Oh, he pretty much almost. I thought you were actually kind of ripping his take, man. It was 1 out of 10 for being woke bullshit.
It really is. It's. I won't get into what it is because I'm sure the Knotfest people don't want this banned on YouTube. But I'll just say it is absolute garbage. Just societal horse shit instead of what it's supposed to be, which is a scary movie.
The only thing I have that I've kind of been going back to was from Louder Than Life. I interviewed the Dropout Kings. Actually, that interview probably will never come out because the audio was so bad. That's on me. But that's the one band I've kind of just been going back to is Dropout Kings. Their album Glitch Gang. It's an EP, I guess, 4 or 5 songs on it. It's like new metal, but it's like trap new metal. It's definitely a little different take on it. So I enjoyed that one. And the only thing I guess I've been watching lately is the NFL. So been watching the hell out of my Tennessee Titans, first place in the AFC South. How are your Browns doing?
And now moving on to other topics.
I wish I could get 4 hours of my life back watching the Browns.
God, they just make me want to throw things. They're just so annoying. It's really been. I'll tell you what, dude. I didn't go back and officially listen to hear what my picks were, but I don't think I got anything right on those picks last week.
I'm on the app. I think we on the episode of Slobber Knockers that you and I did solo. I think I'm 50-50, but I honestly thought I got all of them wrong too, because I know the major ones. Except for like the Titans game. I think, we picked a couple of games here and there that we probably got right, but it was like Packers over the Giants. That didn't happen. The Ravens, the Bengals over Ravens, that obviously didn't happen. And there were a few games in there that seemed like locks and the opposing team won.
And even if it was a win, I know I picked San Diego over the Browns.
Right.
But I had picked it to be an absolute blowout. I had picked it to be like 42-10, and it was like right down to the wire. And the Browns gave it away with like a minute left in the game. So
there's nothing. I will take like Buffalo beat the Titans like 41-9 or something stupid, 41-7. I'll take that game over a 2-point loss with a missed field goal at the end. Dude, I would much rather just get my ass handed to me than lose a heartbreaker.
Browns have lost 3 games by 4 points or less.
Wow. And then the lock of the week, I thought we had it, was the Detroit Lions over the Patriots, and they got shut out 29-0.
I know.
The NFL. And the one thing doing this Slobber Knocker show, just makes you realize that you have no idea. Like one week you're like, they look like gangbusters. The next week, you get shut out. So
yeah, I think it's why everybody switched from betting games to FanDuel now, because it's easier to pick which players are going to do well than it is to pick who's going to win a game.
Right. Yeah. It's nuts, man. Well, I think that will do it for another episode of the wonderful Talk To Me podcast here on notfest.com. If you're listening this late in the show and you want some guitar picks, reach out to me. Hit me up, DM me on Facebook. I've been sending those out, and people are getting them, and they were enjoying the hell out of their Talk To Me guitar picks. So hit me up if you want some picks. I'll send them out to you free of charge.
Wow!
And that'll be a reward for you listening to this fine podcast.
What a great deal!
Free guitar picks. But I'll send out a couple. One for you, one for your friend.
There you go.
So for the Talk To Me podcast here, notfest.com, I am Joshua Toomey.
I'm Chris Akin.
And we will talk to you soon.
See ya.